Hey guys, it's Kusi. Welcome back to the now 6th episode of this adventure to assert dominance over all those meta specs that I can easily keep up with in an... who am I kidding? In the last episode, we successfully were part of our first plus 10 key, and yes, being part was all I did at that one. But we also learned a cool new skip that legit no one ever uses, at least not in my keys, and upgraded our first item to 535, which is a lot.
Oh my god, I love it! I f***ing love it!
While in this episode we end up on the 3rd week of Mythic Plus, and we do so with a bang. Not only will we attempt another plus 10 key for yet another portal, no, we will attempt 2 plus 10 keys for another 2 portals.
You're joking.
And one of them being a dungeon that many consider the most difficult one out there. So we make sure to end this week huge. And I know what you're thinking.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Yes. I also got the quickest key ever done to show for, so make sure you won't blink, otherwise you'll miss it. But because this is still a 0 to hero made by an absolute Muppet gamer, you can be assured that failure, in fact, is still strong within this one. So if that sounds like an episode you would want to loop up for, make sure to, well, wash your hands, hit the like button, because it's actually insane how much that helps the channel out, and if you're new here, maybe leave a subscription, because by God it's for free and you will never miss another upload if you do. Oh, and also a quick heads up that this coming Sunday, May 19th, at around 8 PM Central European time, we will figure out what class will be next for our 0 to hero adventure. I don't know how we will decide that, but it will happen. So if you don't want to miss it, make sure to go over to twitch.tv/kusislayer and leave a follow. See you on Sunday. And as always, make sure to grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the 6th episode of me playing mechanics to an absolute peak. Alright, so we ended the last episode with an item level of 408, while having 2 banger weapons and an insane trinket already. And we roughly are 300 score away from our goal of Keystone Hero. Yet the goals for this episode, which will be the end of week 3 of our journey, will be the grind towards more portals, as well as stacking up the vault to preferably 3 myth choices coming reset. And we go ham right away. Plus 10 Azure Vault is ready to be conquered, and boy did I invite some gamers here. This BM was a different breed, so much I can spoil here. Who also was a different breed in the most negative way was me. Here I stepped into the puddle just to get slapped by the ghost, and because I didn't have enough already, I stepped back into another puddle. But screw those tiny mishaps, I guess. Let's talk bosses. I'm very happy you guys enjoy me rambling about bosses every now and then, and because I'm pretty sure we didn't talk about Azure Vault yet, let's change that. The first boss has one important mechanic, those trees. You need to get rid of all of those, and you can do so in 2 specific ways. First is Erupting Fissure, which is a cone-like strike that follows the tank around. The way to play this is to move the boss away from the middle, and then position yourself to preferably hit 3 or 5 trees. The cone has a good range, so you don't need to stand too close to make it happen. Also, for the sake of your healer or your DPS, make sure to move the boss ASAP and show everybody where you're trying to aim it. If you make a last second 180, maybe someone can't respond in time. The other way to play the trees is the Explosive Brand. This one is a bit of a knockback that will pull a debuff with this big ass circle around every party member. Every tree inside the circle will also be destroyed. At this point, all trees should be dealt with because of Consuming Stomp. The boss will dish out some mad damage, which will be insanely increased for every tree alive. If you happen to leave a tree up, make sure to use a proper death cooldown or 2 to survive that blow. He occasionally also likes to slap the tank with Infused Strike, which is a big hit with a dot. But yeah, tank's problem. I will not cover much trash since there are a bunch of routes one can play here, because there are a few skips that people like to go for. However, one thing I'd like to mention here is that mages can spell steal the Enrage buff from those Crystal Fury mobs. Those buffs will increase your damage by 35%, and since a lot of the packs have 2 of them, you can get it twice. It actually stacks. So far so good. We arrive at the second boss room with only 1 death and... So far so good. We arrive at the second boss room with only 2 deaths, and before pulling the boss, make sure to clean at least everything around the main area of this room. You do not want to have it body pulled during the fight, trust me. Now for the boss. This one can be summarized in one word: move. Pretty much every mechanic in here is avoided by moving. Even this little ad that you want to focus down will spawn swirlies under and around players, so move. Big ball of arcane, move.
Just do it!
As tank, make sure to move the boss towards the ad, but only after the arcane cleave ability. If you clip someone with it, it's Jova. In this intermission phase, every mechanic is on crack, so dodging now is even more important. You simply have to kill those 4 ads while dodging the barrage of arcane from the boss. And just like in phase 1, If one of those mobs die, they spawn swirlies around everybody. On a bad day, where you maybe kill 2 or 3 at the same time, this can be very wonky. When all 4 ads are gone, we go back into P1. I should put it on a shirt or something.
No?
That's all for the boss in terms of mechanic. Let's see what went wrong. Hunter probably considered moving, but then he didn't. Here the healer got clapped by 2 casts in a row, which is absolutely our fault. Surely we could have stopped it from casting somehow. And because whoever made this group didn't think of a CR, we wiped. But no worries, apparently the timer is very forgiving, and so we just... Guess after our priest did what he had to do, which is power infusion, he decided to take a break and let us peasants do the work, and even though it took a minute, we got it done as 4 men. But before we continue, let me quickly remind you that we are in fact on the road to 10k on this channel, and if you watch this far without being subscribed, I mean, come on. If we manage to achieve that goal, there will be a 24-hour stream happening, so make sure to be part of that tournament one day. I really appreciate your support. Coming up to Greywind, the third boss of this dungeon, this one is pretty easy. I believe it used to be a DPS check, but now, not anymore. 3 mechanics will happen here. The first is Frost Bomb, which will let you drop a puddle of ice after exploding. The core idea here is to keep the runes clean, because you will need them in a minute. The other one is Icy Devastator. This one will channel onto a player with a pulsing AoE around them, so make sure to step outside of the party if you're targeted. Now, I know you technically can avoid the channel with things like Invis, Feign Death or Vanish, but I'm not sure if you should. I didn't figure out yet if that maybe messes with the timer towards the next absolute zero, but just know that it works, in case you ever get a certain German dude playing healer and he's already dirt napping. The last mechanic is absolute zero. To survive this, stand in one of the runes for the big reduction. Pretty straightforward, since those runes start to lighten up. In between different absolute zero casts, make sure to slowly move the boss towards the next rune, as they are a one use kind of thing. But don't worry, eventually the first rune will reset once you use the third. Last boss is a bit of a bitch though. A few more things happen here, some of them are self-explaining, some not. So we start with the quick and simple ones. Dodge the breath and dodge those balls. Tanks need to be careful about Dragon Strike. This thing slaps and is magic damage. I believe warriors can even spell reflect it. And the most important mechanic is Brittle. Every 25% of the boss HP, this thing will shatter shards to the ground that have absolute priority. One of them will be just as hard as a teenage boy in the morning, so that one needs some extra attention.
What?
Not the boy, the shards. If those things get a cast through, you can call the paramedics. It appears that tanking the boss on the edge of the room and then moving far once balls spawn is a good way to play it. And boy did we play everything else. Besides the second boss, nice. Quite easily timed with 14 deaths and over a minute left and not even last DPS bro.
Nice.
That BM hunter did some work though, goddamn. Got a cloak for my struggle and yet another Dragonflight key, which will have to wait. Even though we still need 2 more +8 keys for our vault to be stacked, I also need some specific dungeons done in order to gain some more score before the reset. So I applied the random keys, preferably above 6, and I gotten into a horse. Now buckle up ladies and gents, cause this thing is the quickest key you will ever see. We pulled, died, wiped and died for 11 deaths on the second pack and the healer leaving in 3 minutes 45 seconds. After that we made quick work of a Ruby Life Pool run for another 43 score to an overall of 2248. Followed by another attempt of Force of Infusion, +7, and this one wasn't necessarily simpler to play. Though I did get recognized, which was very cool to be fair. Thank you for letting me know that you watched this goofy series, much love man. Hope I wasn't too weird.
What do you mean by that?
Our tank decided to go for the YOLO, let's quickly do Mythic 0 for the quest kind of pull, when grabbing those 3 packs together. And you can guess, that didn't work out.
You're joking.
On the first boss, I felt firsthand what it is like to not have a proper mobility up for use. I need to start to run out and then jump back in. We managed to kill it, but with 3 people dead, our tank just continued pulling. Second boss was easy to deal with, but the third one, oh baby, a lot of us died. Some of us died because they weren't properly behind the block, while some died because of tiny legs. And some of us died because they ran way too far away from the party in order to receive heal. The only funny thing about this was that the tank was complaining about us not surviving, even though he procced 2 cheat deaths. Also, and this is not me complaining as a melee, if you as a tank pull the boss towards a solid block of ice, after each frost cyclone, you would pretty much tell every party member where a safe spot is. Not that it's your job to do that, just saying you can. Eventually we did manage to kill the boss and moved on to finish this run with an almost 9-minute overtime. Got 16 score as a pity and a one-hand weapon because I'm set on weapons anyways for now. After that we timed a Nelt 6 for 50 extra score, since I only had that done on +2, and then my idea was to finish this week off with 2 more +8 keys. From the Azure 10 I got Dragonflight, lowered that to 8 and smashed it for an easy 2 chest. Believe it or not, I got another Azure Vault from this.
Not another one?
Yay. Same thing though, lowered it to 8, times it by +2. Now this was the part where I wanted to end the week and logging off to await our vault with 3 myth items to choose from. But then I saw this. Nelthorus 10.
Oh, hell no, man. What the?
Arguably one of the hardest ones to play when pugging. Mainly because of this guy. Chainmaster Dickens is a rough one because it relies on a good decision making, which is difficult for a lot of gamers.
I mean, you're not wrong.
And because I'm all for the memes, triple paladin baby. Keep in mind, this is pretty much just 2 hours before the weekly server shutdown, so it was just a gamble at this point. But now we needed a healer that has lust and does well with full melee. A dragon.
These nuts.
So it begins, and because we talked about Nelthorus and its dangers more than once already, this will be more entertainment and less information. I jokingly asked to go for the chain boss first just to see what kind of key this will be, and I guess they agreed.
Psych!
We went towards the mammoth first. Needless to say, we absolutely annihilated this trash, especially with double red and the dragon to pump some numbers out as well. So the thing that I'm wielding the pubes from is up on the chopping block. And triple paladin means they got a certain amount of self-heal if necessary, and as long as I stayed around the boss, I was most likely in range to be healed. Yet still, I used my defensive ever so often, spell reflect on every mutation just to lower incoming damage, and impending victory on cooldown. And I'm not gonna lie, this fight felt like it took forever. It's under 3 minutes, but when playing, it felt like an eternity. While the trash towards 3 chains was the spot where I really found out how bad the chain wrecks are now. I think we did use most of them, and even though they obviously are useful for the stun itself, you can tell they don't hit hard anymore. But now to the big man himself, Shargath, Bane of Pugs. On the first set of chains, we lost 2 people, because we had 2 stacks of the debuff. Both got rest so the ride continued, until the boss decided to tear our tank a new asshole, by simply going through him without any hesitation. So we wiped. Of course we did. But unlike other parties, or me a few episodes ago, we were determined. So we went again. This time we played it like we are supposed to. 1 chain at a time, easy peasy. At this point I was certain we are going to finish this run, no doubt. Yet the question remains, how fast? 2 more bosses and over half the trash was still required, and we already lost half the timer. So we kept sending it. Pulled big, pulled double packs, and yet it still took us around 6 minutes to get to the next boss. This dungeon has so much trash, it's insane. Less than 7 minutes remaining after killing Gorek, and there were still so many packs ahead. So our healer made an executive call. Even though he dirt net on that pole, we did manage to play it, and though we start the boss with a timer of 3 minutes. Keep in mind, every other boss took 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Just no one is allowed to mess up. So the first shield came around, which happened to overlap with Incorporeal just to give us a stack of minus 50% damage done during the phase where the boss takes more damage. 2 minutes remaining and we still had over 60% to go. Having to kill the ad really takes time off the clock. And then we had another magma shield, and by the time we finally killed the boss, we had 42 seconds left on the timer. Probably the first time I had boob sweat in a long time. But I was over the moon happy. Having this dungeon done as the 3rd dungeon on a +10 on a tyrannical week of all weeks is something I'm very happy about. And I didn't even get carried. I properly provided through the run, and often I was head to head with them paladins in single target. Very proud of that. So with that extra 54 score to an overall of 2368, we are 132 rating away from achieving our goal. And of course, we got the vault to open. A fatty if you ask me. A heroic raid item, which could be a banger too. And 3 myth track items to have all the possibilities in the world to make a big impact. Oh, and before you say anything, yes, I am rolling for Fury. I want Forge Storm. And so the first time in a long time, the vault was huge. Those upgrades were something. Big shoulders that I could turn into tier set for big upgrade, a ring with some mad stats, and yeah, okay, a cloak. After a short consideration, I went with the shoulder piece. Loads of main stats as well as a guaranteed use for me, and some sick mythic raid transmog. Win, win, win. And with that, we end our 6th episode of the series. Thank you for watching. As usual, I hope you have the most fantastic day whenever you're seeing this. Until I catch you in the next one, peace.